and we're going to talk about capital gains just for a second. And this is an interesting one here. Oh, I don't know if you heard about this, but well, everyone heard about, hey, the capital gains inclusion rate is going to go up to 2/3 at a certain time, right? And under certain conditions inside a corporation, that the whole shebang, if you have a capital gain, is going to be 67% inclusion rate. And if you're holding something personally, then after the first $250,000, then the inclusion rate is going to be 67%. But that never got passed into law just yet, did it? Right? It is slated to be passed into law. So
yeah, so this is weird,
law,
Matthew. So it was never passed into law.
No.
And now, since the government is prorogued until March, the CRA still wants us to pay 2/3 on capital gains inclusion.
That's basically it. That's basically it.
Sense.
But CRA to administer anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Right? If you see about CRA to administer anyway, which is now this is very strange, right? Because there's no government there to actually pass this into law yet. It says here, CRA will continue to administer capital gains tax proposals, even though they haven't passed in Parliament. The Finance Department says parliamentary convention dictates that taxation proposals, such as the capital gains taxation measures that the Liberals introduced last year, are effective as soon as the government introduces them into the House. So this causes a lot of aggravation, to tell you the truth, right? On multiple fronts. And we kind of went over what the deals are here, what the details are. Despite the current prorogation, the Finance Department says CRA will issue taxpayers forms in accordance with the proposed capital gains rules by the 31st of January. Wonderful. The department says CRA will stop administering the policy if Parliament resumes and the government signals it no longer will proceed with the changes. The department's update comes a day after Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced his resignation and the proroguing of Parliament, which parked the House of Commons docketed bills and motions that had yet to receive royal assent and caused confusion around capital gains proposals. And now this is interesting because, if you go to the top, I think the dates of these are really interesting. So this was literally posted a couple of days ago, right? This causes all sorts of confusion, right? Because you're going to have to go to your accountant and say, all right, well, I had these transactions where I bought and sold securities or property or what have you. And, okay, I made $300,000. Okay, well, what's the taxation rate? And let's just say they're saying, okay, well, January 31st, they can issue these forms to say, okay, say you made a $300,000 capital gain, Omar. $250,000 is taxed at 50% inclusion. $50,000 is taxed at a 67% inclusion. And then you go and pay your tax. Now, let's just say, Omar, that the new government comes in, I don't know, September?
Sure.
All right, I don't know, pick a month. September, I think that might be a reasonable month. All right. And they say, well, forget this. We don't want this tax. The Canadians never wanted this tax, not affecting as many people as we want. And this is so guess what happens? Now, Omar, you got to go back to your accountant and say, I want my tax back. Go tackle the CRA and get my tax back. Go file an adjustment, get my tax back. Now, the CRA could be nice and say, okay, well, we acknowledge that, this bill is no longer in motion, et cetera, and go and issue refunds. But I don't know if it's going to be that easy, right? But it does cause a whole bunch of confusion. It also causes, I would say this causes some discontent, right? Because the word they use up top here is, what's this word, Omar? It's convention.
Yep.
Not law. It's parliamentary convention that dictates that taxation proposals are effective as soon as the government introduces them to the House. I don't know. I don't think this is certainly not a good look. But again, this is from the Canadian perspective. We have these problems to deal with inside the country, let alone all the obvious elephants in the room, like like housing, for example, and finding a leader for this country. So anyways, I want to go over that. All right, let's talk about now, let's go into more of a technical update with respect to